Hey folks, it's Lauren from Snowy's here. Today I'm going to show you how to set up and pack away the Darche Safari 260.
Hit it.
It's super quick and easy to set up, even with one person. It's got loads of features, including ventilation panels and an optional extension awning. Hold up, to make sure you don't miss any of our awesome content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get back to it. So your tent comes packed up in this nice big square like so. It's approximately 90 centimeters square by about 15 centimeters deep. It's not possible to pack it down smaller than this because the internal square frame that sits in the roof of the tent that I'll show you more about later is what dictates this pack size. So you can't go smaller. Now it weighs about 24 kilos, which isn't sort of too heavy, but given this pack size, it's a little bit awkward to shuffle around. So I find it's a lot easier to pop it under your shoulder and just sit it on your shoulder like so, and then you can quite easily move the tent around. Now I'm about 170, so as you can see, you've got a loads of room to carry it over your shoulder. So now we'll have a look what's in the bag. Now in the bag, obviously, we've got the main body of our tent, and we've got our optional awning that we can add onto the tent, which I'll show you more about later. We've got a couple of guy ropes here. We've also got 18 pegs that come with it. Now these are pretty reasonable pegs. Usually you get sort of small dicky ones when you are purchasing a new tent, but these ones are pretty reasonable, and they come in a canvas peg bag. And you've also got your pole bag with a couple of poles. Now this pole bag is also reinforced on the end here. So when you're packing up, you can pop your spigots down this end and they're not going to wear through. Talking about spigot poles, we've got a couple of awning poles here, which will go with that optional awning add-on. And we've also got our central roof pole for the tent itself. So I'll pop these aside and we'll get to set up. So once we've fully unfolded the tent, you can see we've got this nice big square here, and our front door is over this side. So we're just going to twist the tent here so we've got a good orientation. So if you happen to pack your tent up with the front door zipped shut, the logo on the bottom right hand corner here is a really quick and easy way to identify where your front door is. So the next step is to grab 4 pegs and peg down the corners of your tent. So this is going to be the central pole, which is essentially going to support the entirety of your tent. So it's just a matter of opening it up and slipping that in like so. They are sort of joined by a cable in there. Now the widest or largest cup, silicone cup, is going to go on the floor of your tent. And it is adjustable, an adjustable pole. So it's just a matter of unflicking or this little flick lock here, and that will adjust the height of the pole. Now there's a couple of ways you can do it. The first one is to pop your pole in like so, and when you're in there, unlock and push your pole up. But I personally find this a little bit cumbersome, maybe because I'm a little bit shorter. So I like to adjust the pole to a relatively close height to what I would expect it to be inside the tent before I put it in. So from here, it's just a matter of flipping back the door. So what we're going to want to do is put the small sort of silicone end cap roughly on the square. The next step is to essentially grab the frame, sweep the roof of the tent up, and bring the pole into an upright position. Now once you've got the roof of the tent up, you're just going to want to give that pole a bit of an adjustment roughly to the center of the floor, and make sure you've got the pole also within the center of that roof section as well. So I've just got our cameraman Larry to help me push it that last little bit up to get that tension on it, and we've just measured the pole there. So at that perfect height with the perfect tension, we're at 210 centimeters or 2.1 meters tall. So the next step that we've got is we're going to grab a couple of pegs, and then we're going to move around all 4 corners of the tent and set up our guy ropes. So when you're setting up your guy ropes, you're going to obviously have 2 on each corner. So they're going to hook into the same peg point that you've got down the base here. Right, so once we've got all of our guy ropes set up, the next point is to go along to our rear and both side corners and unzip and peg out our ventilation panels. So that's pretty much your safari tent setup. Now we do have these window panels here on the side. Now these double as a ventilation gusset. As you can see here, with our little gusset slip, or they can also be rolled up or moved out the way. Now, there is also these little eyelets on the end here. You could possibly peg them out if you wanted to, like an extra little window awning. But if you are wanting to peg out your windows as a ventilation gusset, similarly to our corner guy ropes, it's just using the same peg point as we're using for our ventilation panels at the base. And this window configuration / additional ventilation option is available on both sides, or is sort of mirrored on both sides as well as the back. Now, the final step, which is an optional step that you can take, is adding the additional awning onto the front. So we'll come around to the front door here. I'm gonna unzip this just a little bit so I can step in. Now, you'll notice above our canvas door here, we've got a bit of a flap and an additional zip that runs along the underside here. So that is for our awning attachment. So he will lay that out like so. And we're going to be looking for the shorter end because the awning itself does taper out to the side. So this shorter end here, which has a little zip section on through the middle third there. So starting on the right hand side end, we've got this little this little tab on our zip, which is going to push into our zip slider here like so. And now we can run the zip along. I'm gonna go on the underside now. So once that zip is done up, we've got a couple of little Velcro tabs on the outside here that we're just gonna meet up to keep that little storm flap over, which is in the case of any rain. It's going to prevent the zip from coming undone and any rain from coming in through or ingress through that zip connection. So from here, we're going to grab our awning poles and we're going to, again, these are cabled together like telescopic there. We're going to connect those together, and they're also adjustable as well. So we're going to grab the eyelet on the end of the awning space and loop through our guy rope. Right, so once your awning's up, it's probably something worth considering if you are going to expect a bit of rain. We've got quite a large catchment area here. So adjusting the twist lock on your poles and dropping one side down a little bit is going to be really helpful to support any sort of rain runoff in wet weather. But otherwise, you can set both of your poles up nice and tall like so and have a reasonable amount of shade. Now, the extra little bit here on the awning worth considering is these little tabs. Now, again, this is really good for when you have rain, just to help keep this underside or front section of the tent protected. You can again use the same peg point or a similar peg point that you have already for either your ventilation gussets or potentially even your back guy rope here if it can stretch the whole way. So I'm just going to hook that under on this rear ventilation gusset, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. Right, so that's about it for the setup of the Darche Safari 260. So there's a couple of tips or things worth considering. One, if you're just doing a tour around and you've got a quick overnight stop, you obviously don't need to be setting all of the guy ropes up. One thing to mention probably is the ventilation panels. Being a single skin tent, condensation could be an issue. So making sure you've got those ventilation panels all open and you're getting that active airflow is going to be an excellent bonus. The third thing to consider is whilst the framework and the pole inside the Safari is excellent quality and really strong, that singular pole is obviously holding a lot of force. When you're setting up your guy ropes and you're tensioning your tent, you want to make sure you're not overdoing it and you're not putting additional strain on that singular pole, because you might find that with too much tension, the pole will slip just a little bit. Now we're going to pack it up, which is everything in reverse. So first things first is we're going to drop down our awning poles and release those guy ropes. Next, we're going to remove our optional awning panel, which is unzipping it across. We're going to fold it up and set it aside for now. The next thing that we're going to do, we'll undo our door panel, so we're leaving that hanging, and we'll unzip our fly wire. Then we'll walk around the tent and remove all of our peg points and guy ropes and zip up our ventilation panels. We're going to roughly bundle up our guy ropes. Then we're going to be stepping into the tent. We're going to drop that pole down, collapse it up straight into the pole bag. So before I pull the 4 corner pegs out, I'm actually just going to position my square roof frame here into roughly the center of the tent, like so, and get my door sections all sort of folded up and tucked out of the way. So now I'm going to go around to my 4 corners and pull out those corner pegs. So remembering how the tent came when we initially unfolded it, we're essentially just going to be folding it over into thirds around that central square frame. We're then going to go into thirds again. So with our folded awning that we've done before, I'm just going to lift up this corner of the floor and pop that awning section in like so. And then I'm going to pop my storage bag on, which is a lot easier to start that on the folded edge instead of the open edge. So once you've got the tent back in the bag, you just need to pop in our guy ropes and our poles. Just going to final or finish off getting these straps, these tensioning straps done up. So that's about it for how to set up and pack away your Darche Safari 260. As you can see, it's a pretty simple and quick and easy setup, especially for one person. So it's an awesome classic heavy duty canvas touring tent that would suit a lot of people's needs. You can get this at snowies.com.au at our low prices every day.